Hi, I'm Professor Greg Gilbert, and I'm the director of the UC Santa Cruz Forest Ecology Research Plot. The FERP, as we call it, is a research and experiential learning resource that is supported by the Department of Environmental Studies and the UCSC Campus Natural Reserve. The UC Santa Cruz campus itself is an amazing living laboratory for experiential learning in the environmental sciences. It includes natural reserves right on the main campus and the coastal campus, just a few steps from classrooms. The campus also boasts important resources for experiential learning and research on the Casfus Farm and Garden, the UCSC Arboretum, the UCSC greenhouses, and the built environment. Today, I want to focus on the FERP, a pleasant 1-mile walk from the Environmental Studies Department through the Campus Natural Reserve. Forests cover almost a third of the Earth's land area, provide a broad array of critical ecosystem services, and are undergoing important transformations associated with changing land use practices, emergent pests and pathogens, and global climate change. In order to ensure the future of healthy forests, we need to understand the patterns and extent of these changes to composition, structure, and dynamics of forests, the implications of these changes to ecosystem services, and the specific drivers of these changes. There are many approaches to studying forest change, and the FERP is based on the model of complete forest censuses and long-term modeling. The UCSC FERP is part of the Smithsonian Institution's CTFS Forest Geo Network. First established in 1981, over 6 million trees in 24 countries are all monitored following the same standardized protocols, enabling global comparisons on patterns of change. The UCSC FERP was established in 2007. Coastal California has a Mediterranean-type climate with cool, wet winters and dry summers. This climate is associated with biodiversity hotspots and is distributed across 5 continents. But notice that Santa Cruz is the only representative of the Mediterranean climate in the network. We are also unique in that the FERP is powered by students, and the research is seamlessly integrated into experiential learning. The FERP is a large mapped forest plot where some 27,000 trees, shrubs, and woody vines called lianas have been mapped, tagged, identified, and remeasured on a 5-year cycle. That includes measuring more than 40,000 individual stems from 34 species. 7 species comprise 90% of all the individuals and 99% of all the basal area of woody species on the FERP. The forest is a mixed evergreen coastal forest dominated by a mixture of Douglas fir and redwoods, oaks, tan oak, and madrone. There's also a lot of the liana poison oak, which is not really an oak, but it means that we must wear protective suits to protect ourselves from rashes and allergic reactions. The data we collect allow us to look at size distribution, spatial patterns, and changes over time. Here are size distributions from 3 important tree species. Douglas fir, at the top, is our most abundant species and shows the typical size distribution expected in a healthy population of trees, with many small individuals and fewer individuals in larger size classes. Coast redwood has a flat distribution, which largely reflects its unusual life history of primarily resprouting from cut stumps and after fires. Pacific madrone has a worrisome distribution. There are a lot of very large trees, but very few small trees ready to replace the adults. Even more worrisome is that madrone has a very high mortality rate, about 3% per year, but almost no recruitment of smaller trees. Compare this to redwood and Douglas fir, where mortality and recruitment rates are quite similar, suggesting more stable populations. The second most abundant tree on the FERP is tan oak, an acorn-producing relative of the true oaks. It is highly susceptible to the introduced pathogen Phytophthora ramorum, which causes sudden oak death. You can see a wall of dead trees in the image. All tan oaks killed by sudden oak death in 1 year. At first blush, the much greater annual recruitment than mortality would suggest that the population is okay. But this rate of mortality is a dramatic underestimate because the large trees die back and then create new sprouts from the roots. This is effectively converting a dominant canopy species into an understory shrub. On the right, you can see the distribution of sudden oak death on the FERP in 2017 in a map created from a senior internship project. Darker symbols are more severe disease, and the size of the circles reflects the size of the tree. X's mark dead trees. The disease first arrived in the FERP in 2008 and has spread across the plot since then. The FERP serves as an important campus hub for experiential learning in many dimensions of ecology and environmental sciences, as well as research infrastructure for faculty and graduate student-led research with grants from places like the National Science Foundation. The FERP is integrated into a variety of courses through quick class field trips, field exercises for laboratories, and by using the FERP data to learn math and statistics. Hundreds of students have completed internships on the FERP, often their first experience in the forest and collecting ecological data. For those students who get the FERP bug, there are opportunities for paid positions as well as senior internships and theses. Researchers from around the world have tapped into the open access data from the FERP for comparative studies in forest change. A FERP internship is much more than just measuring trees in the forest. Interns use an online video and worksheets to review and practice the trigonometry that we use to map trees and measure the heights of trees, creating a direct link between their pre-calculus requirements and their experience in the field. Interns also create their own illustrated plant identification guides to learn natural history and practice skills of observation, read and respond to peer-reviewed scientific literature, and collect ecological data that contribute to a global research enterprise while creating more learning opportunities for other UCSC students. The FERP is more than just a spatial census. It is also a platform to study the spatial and temporal ecology of mammals, fungi, salamanders, lizards, ticks, insects, and more. For instance, interns collecting data from our network of 115 litter traps can study the temporal patterns of flowering, fruiting, and leaf drop in the forest, as well as look at how far seeds can disperse. For instance, we found that Douglas fir seeds have been distributed to every trap except one, and we see that madrone seeds and fruits have dispersed mostly during late December and January. We have also completed a fine-scale soils map and dug 5 permanent soil pits. There are 4 strikingly different soil types on the FERP, and different tree species show intriguing patterns of association with soil characteristics. So whether you are looking for an internship, a project for a lab class, to build a quick field trip into your lecture class, you need some data to analyze, or you just want an opportunity to expand your natural history experience, please come join us on the UC Santa Cruz Forest Ecology Research Plot.